Ben Bentley, monitor engineer for KT Tunstall.
The console itself is standing up to the outboard equivalents, then, I think that's a testament to how this console actually sounds, and it just works, which it does.
Could be better.
Yeah. Could be at gigs.
Hi, my name's Nick Turner. I work for Audio Technica as Business Development Manager for Allen Heath in the UK. Today, we're blessed with the company of Ben Bentley, who is monitor engineer for KT Tunstall. Ben is in a very similar situation to most sound engineers at the moment. This is what Ben's front room looks like. But the reason we're talking to him is he's actually sitting next to a dLive as we speak. So, hi, Ben.
Hello, how are you?
Very good. Well, could be better.
Yeah. Could be at gigs.
It could be at gigs. Could be enjoying myself in the sunshine. So how's lockdown treating you?
Fine, actually. I'm quite lucky in that we've got a garden out the back, and it's been surprisingly nice weather at the minute. So we've just been sitting out, and I don't want to say drinking, but drinking quite a lot. Just not doing very much. It's been good. Yeah,
I think the whole nation's going to be suffering from alcoholism.
Yeah.
But it's kind of tempered with the fact that a lot of people have discovered jogging and cycling over the last 4 weeks. So, and everyone's garden should be looking very good by now. So,
yeah, my missus is outside right now, just destroying. Well, I say destroying, making the garden nicer at the minute. Yeah. So she's digging away while I'm just playing with tech. Really.
Very good. Very good. So I suppose we should explain why you have got a dLive sitting next to you.
Yeah.
Been working with KT Tunstall for quite a while now.
Yes, for almost 4 years now, I think. We had a bit of a strange one in the in November last year. No, sorry, November 2 years ago now. KT lost 100% of her hearing in her left ear. So just overnight, just woke up and didn't have it. So it kind of meant that for the couple of years that I'd gotten comfortable with her and how I mixed for her, I kind of had to relearn all of that. So I had to stick with the thing that I found the most comfortable, which at that point was Digico SD12. But since the dLive kind of got plopped on our lap with one of the companies I used to work for, it's been kind of sitting there in I want to try and move from Digico to this because I just like how it sounds. So whenever I'm doing little front of house runs with her and that, I end up just using the dLive. I think it's nice, and this is now the prime time to sit and kind of transfer my show file over from the Digico into the Allen Heath, because it's quite for what is a simple 5-piece rock band. It's quite involved in the scenes because she's essentially listening in mono with everything. It's the amount of changes that are happening in song between songs, and that is worryingly high. I think for a 18 song set, we're up to 60 something scenes for it.
Okay.
Which is a few, just a couple of scenes.
Yeah.
It's just been, it was a steep learning curve from when I thought I'd just gotten over the steep learning curve of working with a new artist. So it seems to be going fine, and there's still the hope that one day our hearing will come back. But at the minute, it's being very, very careful with how I deal with her mix, and the amount that I have to change for her it's a lot, but it works, and she's somehow managing to get through gigs. Like it's a true testament to her musicianship.
Yeah, well, I do remember. She's always been on ears whilst you've been with her.
We've always been kind of a mix. There's parts of the set where because she does part of it solo, even with a full band, she generally would jump down to wedges for that. But so there's maybe a couple of songs in the middle of the set where she'll jump to wedges. But she has predominantly been on in-ears since I started and before that.
Is she still doing all the sampling and the looping?
Yeah, it's still just as chaotic as ever.
Well, no, it's fantastic. I mean, you see people kind of emulating that. I do remember the Cherry Tree when that came out, and just in awe of what was going on. You know, someone doing that many loops and, you know, singing, performing whilst doing it, and it just blew my mind. You know, I can just about do a loop, 2 loops on my guitar, and it just blows, it fries my brain cells. But to see someone doing that and actually doing a performance as well, and you know, it's interesting that Ed Sheeran kind of did that, and everyone was like, "Oh wow, look at Ed Sheeran!" It's like, that's nothing.
Yeah, I know. It's quite through sort of loops. We've ended up speaking to Ed Sheeran's guitar tech about how their pedal board's set up, and weirdly, ours is just seems so much more simple. Like we're what, an Akai head rush that comes out of a little I think it's a Yamaha MGX 16 or something, like tiny little mixer that just sits on the pedal board. And then it all just loops through that. It's just there's DIs for everything that the link out comes into the mixer, and it's done through that. So it's actually quite simple. It's all, when you look at it that way, it's all talent from her, really. And it's because, like, getting up to, you know, the stuff sitting there, you may as well have a try of it. And I don't think I've ever managed to get more than 1 loop before it just sounds like a cat falling down some stairs. But no, it's good. It's an interesting setup.
So typically, what you've got a 5-piece band, and how many inputs do you run on that?
We're about 38 channels of input, 38 to 40 of inputs, and then there's a load of duplicated channels for monitoring at the minute. But it's I think. Sorry, I'm lying. It's 47 channels. I've got a track sitting over here from the recording of the last tour, and it's more channels than I remembered.
So you've got your dLive there. Now,
yes.
Ben is a very clever man. He's proved himself to be quite a good idiot. Look at this. We should point out that whilst Ben has been using a mix of Digico and dLive, I believe you've also had dLive at front of house at some points as well, haven't you?
Yeah, so almost for the last year and a half, it's been front of house, and the front of house engineer who we have, Kevin Majorino, he loves it and has ended up just using it in all of his gigs over. He's an American engineer, so he's started using it in all of his shows over there. We're kind of in a bit of a weird situation where because KT split 50-50 between LA and the UK, I say LA, the US and the UK, where we've kind of in the last year sort of split how the business structure is, and that I'm kind of running the UK side of it, and UK and Europe side, and Kevin is dealing with the US and Mexico, just so that because she does a lot of shows solo, it doesn't require a full tech setup. So we've got 2 guitar techs, there's myself, there's Kevin, and then we've got other engineers that we pull in to do bits while we work around. It's just basically just a way of not spending all of the money flying us across the Atlantic for a one-off show with a solo singer. It kind of it means that things are staying a bit more consistent because we can work on all the stuff together. And everyone knows their own market a bit better. So, you know, Kevin has contacts in the US that I just don't even know about, and same with over here. So we're just playing to our strengths, really.
I mean, what are the particular challenges that you face?
So in terms of how to mix with KT, is that a lot of the tracks and a lot of the sounds that are going in are they muddy up a mix. No matter how much of, like, it sounds great for stereo, you're unaware of how much in a stereo mix you have the ability to create space with just space. And with it being mono left only, you very quickly run out of room to add anything. And when it's 40 odd channels of, you know, there's Nord keys going on. There's SPDs. There's bass. There's bass synths. There's there's all sorts of things that in a normal mix you could kind of get away by adding, sort of panning things a little bit stereo, but straight away suddenly it becomes just a wall of noise, which when you are the lead trying to key yourself off of other tracks, you need to have the ability to find your own instrument. But at the same point, when you need to be able to feel there's a band beside you, so it's this really awkward kind of balance between trying to make it that she can hear herself but also have the feeling of the band, which surprisingly the multi-band compressors, the dynates on this are wonderful for that. It's being able to just squish tracks quite a bit but in the low end and still give her a bit of top end is really it's nice. It's a bit of a weird one. So I've got on her vocal channel, I've got quite not a heavy compressor, but just a bit to add some warmth to it. And then a de-esser put in because she's quite sibilant. And then on the output section of that, I then have dynate, which is just crushing everything. It's kind of it's not I wouldn't say it's really a normal signal path and a normal way on how you would mix for in-ears, but it's such a strange situation that the standards, what would you normally do, just sort of went out the window straight away. Because she's
So you're actually using a mono aux, or do you use a stereo and do something clever with it?
It's nothing clever. It's running in stereo simply so that when I monitor it, I can hear what it would be. But on her pack, we're using, at the minute we're on Sennheiser 2050 IEMs. It's set to focus mode and then all panned left, so it's done in the pack. It's essentially summing up a stereo signal to mono, which might not be the best way to do it, but I've not had a chance to sit down and really work out what is the way to get the cleanest signal from her, because it happened. She was out in the States. She went deaf overnight, came back, and we were straight into a 6-week tour with 1 day of pre-production. So it was kind of a quick, I better learn how to make this work quickly. So it was kind of a not really make it the best. It was kind of a lot of just make it work however we can. So there's things in this which we were at the minute we were currently supposed to be out supporting Rick Astley at the minute, but obviously that went a little bit foobar.
Rick Astley, the nation's favourite.
It's really strange. It's really nice that he's managed to get this resurgent back from where he was.
Oh, he's kind of one of those gentlemen of pop, isn't he?
He is a lovely man. It's that we ended up doing a show with him last year, just as I think it was for Pub in the Park or something like that, and he was on after us, and it was just sitting about messing about backstage with him, him offering us Jaeger shots before he went on stage, and it's sort of this is a bit weird, but all right, cool. So from that, we were supposed to have a couple of days of pre-production where I could finally sit down and rebuild this show file with a band sitting in front of me and try and work out the correct way to make things work. And obviously that just went away. So hopefully we'll get to do that again soon.
So on your main actual bus out, so it's just a normal stereo bus with dynate.
Yes.
On.
Yeah.
And are you using any other compression or anything on that, or is it just?
No, it's I am very much of the opinion that for a monitoring side of things, I try and do as little as possible. There's limiters set on the pack so that it can't peak that way, but I try and leave the signal path quite surprisingly clean, because it's, I'm not really there to make a really nice mix. I'm sort of there to make it a true reference for the band, to make it sound as true to the source as possible. So I would kind of stay away from a lot of the niceties that you could get into with the desk, which is, it's more quite serious EQ changes on a separate bank for KT. That's the main thing that we're doing. But apart from that, it's mostly I think it's quite a blank, empty show file, because I'm always of the opinion that if you want a good sound, you've got to make sure your source is good. So stepping back and looking at mic placement and what mics you're actually using makes more of a difference, I think, than the console to an extent. The console is whatever you find a nice way to kind of work and function, in which it does. Like the as you can see at the minute, the virtual sound check, like the way that interfaces is, for me, is incredible. It's one click, one button, and it just sees it. There's I've got one of the old Dante cards in the back of it, and it just goes. I mean, I'm running tracks live as my playback, and that's what's doing it is sing one set of tracks live that's got 48 channels of recording, which has got all our tech chat in it as well, which means that we can go back and hear what issues happened as the show was going. So you can, both for myself and the guitar tech, we can just go speak into our shout mics that, oh, this has happened, which means then when we come to set up the next day, we have a playback to know where things had gone wrong. But yeah, it just makes it work. It just works. It's like that horrible Apple thing of going like, it just works, which it does. I know, going back to saying I do very little, but the drummer loves her drum kit just to be like, sound like a studio kit. So there's multiple levels of group compression, and
The first time we met, I think the most memorable thing was we let you choose the restaurant. And it's not like we normally go out in McDonald's to entertain people. But you chose is it the Chop House?
The butcher shop.
Butcher shop, yeah.
Yeah. That's a Ian Mackey classic, actually. There have been many an audio deal done on those tables in there. It's but I do remember a colleague of mine looking nervously at the wine list. Yes,
as we're working through it.
I think it almost became, sure, we'll just try all of the wines. No, it was they were lovely wines. Now, one of the things I do remember about Mr. Mackey was he set up a website in your honour. Is benontour.com, which
is Ben on Tour.
I think it might just have expired, and that he's trying to save every penny he can during this lockdown. But no, that was
which is a shame, because it was a wonderful thing. So is Ben on tour?
No, unfortunately. I don't think I will be for a while yet.
So are you going to be having any opportunities to go out and do any kind of streaming or anything like that? Is that on the cards at the minute? I know we've had the world streaming party. So kind of. I mean, I've been chatting to KT about it. She's currently in LA, so it's kind of a bit of, she's over there for the foreseeable, because obviously all lockdowns have happened. But going forward, we've been talking about how we can try and kind of take hold of this, and if the lockdown gets kind of softened a little bit, where we're talking about trying to maybe get the band together and do a live stream of a live concert, which it's just trying to stay positive and work out what we can do. But the main sort of streaming world is still a little bit of an unknown to me just now, which is it's part of why at the minute there's cameras and video switches and stuff everywhere, because it's one of the things that I want to try and
learn how to do. So I've got a fair amount of cameras and video switchers and video kit currently in this little office of mine, just to try and understand how Streaming World kind of sets up to be able to, out of this, go and maybe start talking people through consoles, because most people might not have the availability to consoles that I have, which is, FE live audio is 5 minutes down the road from me, and the warehouse is kind of open, and they have got a fair amount of kit. I mean, they're one of their clients, Lewis Capaldi. Both of them are on both ends of the multi are on dLive with DX boxes and DMOs with all the nice toys. So having access to that and just sort of fielding questions might be useful for something, especially when lockdown will lift, but whether gigs come back straight away or not is another thing. So it's just trying to find ways to kind of diversify in these times. So we'll see what happens.
Is that one of FE's touring 1500s that went out with Lewis Capaldi?
Yes, this is Andy Bush's one. This one here. I had a look at his show file that was on it, and most of it's going out to nice outboard that he's got in front of house, so there isn't really anything to be gleaned from it, annoyingly. But no, it's
no, he does a bit of studio work as well, doesn't he, Andy? So
yes,
he's got some nice things.
Local plugins that are being used in this from the console itself across his show file is a testament to it, that if at the minute Lewis is arguably one of the biggest artists that are out at the minute with a pretty large budget to do anything. So if he as a engineer is finding that the console itself is standing up to the outboard equivalents, then I think that's a testament to how this console actually sounds and how nice it is to use.